What is happening? Welcome to another episode of Nintendo News Daily, where we are going to take a look at a few Nintendo news bites and then dig into one topic. Today's main topic is going to be the Switch's price point, which I know we've kind of talked about at length, but I've got a handful of articles we're going to pull up. I've been seeing this discussed in a few different videos, and also been seeing. We've also got some quotes from the president of Nintendo as well on how they're going about pricing the Switch too. So a lot of good stuff, a lot of good stuff, and I'm excited to jump into it with you guys. So let's do the intro. All right. Well, just a reminder that we're doing this live at 3:30 p.m. Eastern, Monday through Friday. I'm a little late today because of just a scheduling issue. I had some meetings and stuff I had to do, but normally we're shooting for 3:30 Eastern, 12:30 Pacific. I see Sunshine is here. I see Joey is here. And I just want to remind you guys, any comments that you leave, if you're here live, I try to put as many comments onto the video as possible, just so you guys can feel more included. But if you're listening after the fact on Spotify or YouTube, any comments that you leave, I read every comment. I try to reply to as many comments as I can. Sometimes it gets a little bit crazy, but for the most part, I am always trying to reply. So I see Casey is here as well. Welcome on in, and anybody that's just lurking as well. You guys, so stoked you're here. But let's jump in. We're gonna get into the news bites. First up, Nintendo confirms timing for the Switch 2 Direct in April, and it is going to happen at 6 a.m. Pacific, 9 a.m. Eastern. So it's gonna be early morning if you're on the West Coast, getting up at 6. I'm not gonna lie. When this tweet went out, I was like, "Oh, here's the February Direct." Nope, this is not the February Direct. This is the tweet about the April Direct, saying that it's happening at again 6 a.m. Pacific, 9 a.m. Eastern. I I found a photo that also basically photoshopped the disclaimer that Nintendo's was putting on everything when they would tweet anything out about any kind of a direct, and it would say we are not this will not include any information about the Switch successor or anything like that. So I included that underneath this tweet, just because it really made me laugh when I saw this, because it was just Nintendo, like, so many of their tweets had to say, "We're not mentioning Switch 2. We're not mentioning Switch 2." Joey is asking, does this mean no February Direct? I don't think so. We saw in yesterday's show that, like, literally everything confirmed for 2025 is Xenoblade Chronicles, Pokemon, Metroid, and I don't even remember the other one off the top of my head now, right? Like, there's not a lot confirmed. We don't have a lot. There's a handful of games that have no dates whatsoever, and they just, so really March is our only like definitive date. There's one more game. There was a total of 4, but March is our main date we're looking at, So there's some third parties and stuff that have some stuff releasing, but I think we will be seeing a February Direct, because it's Mario's 40th anniversary. And so I know they could include some stuff in this April Direct for that, but, like, how much are they going to cram into this thing, and how long? Like, are we looking at a 2-hour Direct by the time it's, we talk about the Switch 2, we talk about what the hardware is capable of doing, we talk about the new Pro controller we can only assume is there, if there's any other accessories like a new mouse, what are the Joy-Cons going to be doing, plus taking a look at first-party games and third-party games, and it's Mario's 40th anniversary. Like how much can we expect from this one Direct? And so I wouldn't be surprised at all if we see a Direct that's focused on the remainder, not the remainder of the year, but the first up through summer anyway, with games that will be coming to Switch One. It's looking like there's so many different rumors out there. Kirby Planet Robobot. Joey, I know Joey loves Donkey Kong. Like, I've even heard, like, but again, it's all rumors and leaks. So grain of salt with all of it. Like, but potential Donkey Kong, potential Metroid, 2D Metroid, which I would assume would just be what is it? Samus Returns, like the 3DS game just getting ported over. I think for the next 2 years, since the Wii U is pretty much done, unless they're going to bring over like the Paper Mario game and a handful of like the Zelda games and stuff, which again could also be included in this direct. There's supposedly some niche title, right, that we've mentioned on here. Like, I feel like Nintendo needs to give us something, and who knows, is another sports title in the works? Like, it's just a little bit of a strange time. We also know that all of these games will run on Switch too, so and we can only assume they're going to run better, which would be, that doesn't stop anybody from buying them. So, I don't know. Cryptic says Nintendo needs to respect US peeps. 6 a.m. really? We buy most consoles for them, right? Right. Cryptic also says they usually have a summer direct for June, maybe not during SGF week, but usually at the end of the month. Yeah, like with the E3 spot, right? That's always kind of been a thing. I see Becca is here hanging out. So welcome on in, everybody. And yeah, it's just they're gonna have to. I feel like they got to pack a lot into. I'm a little bit surprised that April, that they're calling it direct and that they're doing it in the morning, because if I remember correctly, when the Switch was announced, they did like an evening. Like, I remember it being kind of like, I want to say really late on the East Coast, possibly, and then sitting and talking about it afterwards for a while. And that was showcasing the hardware and the HD Rumble and all of the things that made up the first Switch. So it, like, I'm hard pressed to think that this is just going to be a 40-minute presentation. Like, they could probably spend 40 minutes or more on hardware. So I don't know. It's there's so much to speculate here, but I'm fairly certain we are going to see a February direct, and that hopefully we're pleasantly surprised. Just like, I mean, end of last year, or middle of last year, when we got the Echoes of Wisdom and Brothership and that whole thing. Like, there was a ton there. So it was fantastic. Taking a look at some more comments here. Joey says, you think they'd remake Donkey Kong Country original trilogy to the graphics of Freeze and Returns? I mean, maybe. I kind of like, after just getting a remake of a remake, I think everybody's more ready for a new Donkey Kong game. They seem to be kind of leaning into Donkey Kong when it comes to like the theme park and his design in the new Mario Kart. Also, he played a pretty big role in the movie. And so I kind of secretly hope the next Mario game, let's say it's something along the lines of 3D World, that it would include Donkey Kong, and that Donkey Kong would be a playable character within a new Mario game. So I don't know. Fingers crossed on that one. Not that I don't want a new Donkey Kong game as well. I just, after seeing Fire Donkey Kong when he got the Fire Flower, I think it would be fun to be able to see that in game. It'd be fun to play as. I'm also curious. Like, you think about the way we typically play the Mario games. Like, take Wonder for instance. You've got all the main characters; they just kind of jump on the enemies, that kind of thing. Yoshi then had his tongue and didn't really take damage. You have Nabbit, of course, but like it would really, and then you get the elephant, and now you're using your trunk to like smack Goombas away. What would Donkey Kong be like in that scenario in the Mario universe? Like, how would he deal with Goombas? Like, I mean, of course he could jump on them, but like, could he just kind of flick them or like pick them up and throw them? I don't know. I'm not sure there, but we'll just have to see. And you know, Joey says, I like the idea, but bring back King K. Rool. Like, let's get across it. Like, let's get Bowser and King K. Rool teamed up. Let's get them teamed up. I'd be here for it. So Evan says, yo, I'm still not feeling good. Any idea if the Joy-Con joysticks are more durable with more moving room? Like, are you wondering about the throw of the stick? I'm assuming based on the video only that the throw of the stick is going to be about the same. They are supposed to be Hall effect sticks, which means they would be more durable and less likely to get drift. It doesn't mean they would have no drift. It's not a 100% cure, but from everything I have been playing with Hall effect sticks, they work very, very well. And so hopefully that's what we're seeing moving forward. But yeah, the throw of the sticks has always been a little bit of an issue with me when it comes to playing shooters. I don't know. Joy-Con are tough for me to use. That's why I use that Galileo thing that because it feels like playing with an Xbox controller. So drift probably won't be going. No, drift shouldn't be an issue if they're Hall effect. Like, it's not a 100%, but it's like a 99%. Like, it's not saying that it can't happen, but it essentially like uses sensors and stuff, I believe, so that it's not affected by like dust and whatnot. So if that is the case, you won't have to worry about drift. Shouldn't be something that you would have to worry about. There's also that patent that we talked about that would be like kind of like rollback netcode, where AI, machine learning, that kind of stuff would start to do like it would almost predict your inputs, and then if it gets it right, like it's a little bit confusing, but essentially like in like nanoseconds, it's going to know like, oh, that wasn't the right input, it's got to be this one, that kind of stuff. So that's also, I would assume, would help when it comes to like drift and things like that, if that's built in to the sticks. So again, a lot we're going to have to unpack. It's just once we finally get our hands on the system. I'm going to backtrack a little bit here. Cryptic says, Josh, in the past, Nintendo sometimes did a single game showcase for like E3. Can you see them doing that again for any game? Maybe April is very focused on like Mario Kart, and then June when third party. Yeah. And then continuing on here, when third party has their games lined up for Summer Game Fest, they also reveal coming to Switch 2. I mean, it's a very real possibility that like Mario Kart is the main focus. Maybe there's kind of a sizzle reel for a handful of games, but like, again, looking back at the way they announced Switch, that had Steep, Skyrim, FIFA at the time. Like there was a number of third party 1-2 Switch, Breath of the Wild. Like it was you got to remember, they want people buying this system, and so they're gonna have to give us reason to, right? Not necessarily us. When I say us, I just mean the consumer at large. Probably if you're in this chat right now, you're probably already putting money aside for the Switch 2 because you want to be playing day one. So Sawyer asks, think a new Pro controller will be released alongside? Yes. Yeah, absolutely. And I wouldn't be surprised if Xbox even released a Switch controller, unless Nintendo's going to end up changing their Pro controller to have analog sticks or analog triggers. I don't know what Nintendo, like how they tackle this, because if we have just these digital triggers, and I'm holding up the Pro Controller right now, like that's going to make games like Forza not quite as enjoyable, right? Like I've got my Xbox Elite controller right now. Now I have the stops engaged so that like when I'm playing Call of Duty or whatever, I don't have to do a full trigger pull. But like when you can pull the full distance of the trigger, when it comes to like feathering the gas in Forza and stuff like that, it's very important to have analog triggers. So, the likelihood of analog triggers being built into Joy-Con, so slim, but I could see them doing their Pro Controller with them and then just having that switch to toggle them on and off. They wouldn't be able to be incorporated into too many games, but if games like Forza are being ported to Switch 2, we saw this. I don't know if you guys remember, but there was a game called Trials, and the way they got around using the analog triggers is you had to use the right stick, and it was not all that great. And so I hope they come up with a better solution than the right stick. We'll have to wait and see. Taking a look here. Joey Pitt says, didn't computer mouse have lag input back in the day? If I remember, going to go from stick drift to mouse lag. I mean, I trust Nintendo on this one. Like, I think there was the missteps that they've learned from Switch 1. I think we can pretty much plan for a very smooth launch of Switch 2. So Sawyer says, facts, I really didn't like the trailer for Nintendo Switch 2. Very plain, not bouncy and colorful. Where's Mario? Guess we got to wait for the new one. Yeah, for sure. I see CC is here hanging out. Welcome on in. Joey says, will it be mandatory to have a new Pro Controller with Switch 2, or could I use my current Pro Controller till my wallet can take a breather? Again, it should be Bluetooth, so you should be able to use that Pro Controller, and I'm sure the majority of the games, analog triggers are not going to be an issue. It's just, again, talking specifically games like Forza, you want an analog trigger. It just makes the game better. And analog triggers were used on the GameCube. So like when you had to use Flood in Super Mario Sunshine, how hard you pulled the trigger decided how far Flood would shoot. So it's just a small thing, but depending on the game and the gameplay loop and what it is that you need to be doing in the game, they can be a big thing. So even like I want to say like Fortnite, right? Like I feel like you use the trigger to go in Fortnite when you get in a vehicle. You're going to be able to be a little more precise on Xbox than you would just with like Switch, because it's just either go or not go. There's no in between. So taking a look here, Sawyer says, I think adaptive triggers would be great on the new controller like the PS5. So there's that as well. For sure. Great for a game like Odyssey. Yeah. And what's funny is like Xbox doesn't have those adaptive triggers, but they do have, like when the Xbox One came out, they were like, yo, we've added rumble to the triggers. Some of the games rumble so bad that like your fingers would just like you couldn't, it was like overstimulation just from the rumble in the triggers. And I've even experienced it recently in something I was playing. I think it was Ninja Gaiden 2 Black. The trigger rumble was like, this is crazy. It's a little too much. So, well, moving on here. Next up, Capcom Fighting Collection 2 launches May 25th. So I saw this video. It launched last night. We're Nintendo Life right here. It says Capcom Spotlight Showcase aired early on, and during the broadcast, it announced the new Capcom Fighting Collection 2 game would be arriving for Switch on the 16th of May, with digital pre-orders now live. In this collection, you can look forward to a series of Capcom vs. SNK, Power Stone, and even more Street Fighter action. Fighting fans can also look forward to online play featuring rollback netcode, over 600 pieces of artwork, 400 songs, additional new features, and the ability to save at any time. So here is the full lineup of games. Capcom vs. SNK Millennium Fight 2000 Pro, Capcom versus SNK 2, Mark of the Millennium 2001, Capcom Fighting Evolution, Street Fighter Alpha 3 Upper, Project Justice, and I think that Street Fighter Alpha 3 is the SNES version, but I only saw the trailer. Like, I didn't catch all of the trailer like I was hoping to. I was kind of preoccupied with something, and so I think that is one of the last Super Nintendo games, which I remember seeing in Toys R Us years into the life cycle of the N64, and wish I had just picked it up and left it sealed, because it's one of those games that I believe is kind of rare now. I think it's Alpha 3. Next up, Project Justice, Power Stone, and Power Stone 2, which are pretty beloved games. I don't really know anything about them. I know some of the comments on the YouTube video were like, I'm so excited to go back to Power Stone. And then Plasma Sword, Nightmare of Bilstein. So taking a look here. Evan says, let's see, going back. Cryptic says, do you think Nintendo will make an Elite controller? Is there an option to just switch out triggers, D-pad, etc.? Would go a long ways. Yes, that would be something I think would be great. And again, even just like the Xbox Elite controller, you just adjust the throw of the trigger with the flip of a switch. But then you can also get in and through software change the throw and everything else. So it's hard to say how far Nintendo will take it. I think the current Pro controller was just an overall pretty safe move. It probably wasn't overly pricey to produce, and so knowing the success coming into Switch 2, I think there's opportunity for us to see a lot of improvements. What will be interesting about the Pro controller is this could pretty much do everything the Joy-Con could do minus the IR sensor. And now, of course, with the mouse feature, I wonder how that all is dealt with. So it'll be fun to see how they are dealing with it. Sawyer says, I also do not care about the screen resolution. 720p was fine for the small screen, even on the OLED. Yeah, I mean, the screens that are that small, you're probably not going to notice it all that much. Cryptic says, I'm excited for this. Going back to the Capcom Fighting Collection 2. I loved Power Stone back in the day on Dreamcast. Yeah, and that's I think people are loving the fact that they're seeing some Dreamcast games make their way onto these modern consoles, which is great. I have absolutely zero nostalgia for Dreamcast, but I love and know that there are some people that are way into it and they loved that system. So he said it's also cool to see fighting games that have been lost to time being able to be played again. And speaking to that point, there was a game that did make its way to Sega Genesis, I believe, called Time Killers. And you guys should look this one up. It was one of these games that was like kind of getting banned in arcades, and like I don't even know how long it lasted on Sega Genesis, because the characters played with swords, right? And similar to like Soul Calibur or whatever, except your buttons were left arm, left leg, right leg, if I remember correctly. But if you did the right move, you could like cut off the right arm. But then if you hit that right arm button, just blood would squirt out of that. And so it was, at the time, that was a pretty risque thing to be doing. And so it wasn't a game that saw a lot of love, but it's within the history of gaming. So I'm definitely with Cryptic here, and just love seeing these games getting to see the light of day again, and also just for preservation being brought back up to where not only can we add them to our library. I mean, it was huge being able to play Marvel vs. Capcom again, like Marvel vs. Capcom 2. Like that was a dream for everybody. I think we all sleep better at night knowing that game is within arm's reach, even if we aren't playing it. So I know it is beloved, and I'm really excited to see what Capcom is doing here. They've honestly been killing it on all fronts. And the first fighting collection, the one that does have Marvel, that one is on Xbox now as well. So if you are an Xbox fan and you were waiting or hoping that game was going to be, it did get released. So make sure to go check it out. Okay, we're slowly working our way into the final topic here. We got a couple more headlines before we do. So EA, okay, this is a quote from EA. This is kind of exciting. Switch 2 could help games like FC, which is their soccer game, and Madden find real energy. They say it gives us the ability to access and acquire new players. So the article here from Nintendo Life, since the Switch 2 reveal, multiple game companies have voiced support for the new system, and now it's EA's turn. During the third-party Giants' latest earnings call, EA's CEO Andrew Wilson mentioned how the Switch successor would be another way for EA to find and access new players with the next generation hybrid hardware, potentially giving IP like EA Sports FC and Madden and others a real boost. At least that's the expectation. Now, fingers crossed on here, not only these sports titles, but I know there are a lot of Sims fans. And so to finally see Sims make its way onto Switch would be fantastic. Now, Joey says, yes, please, either Madden or NCAA football, college football. I want a football game to come to Switch too. And I'm right there. I have been wanting Madden to come out on Switch since its announcement. Like, I've been a huge fan of Madden for years. I've played so many different football games, going all the way back to the NES with like Tecmo Bowl and John Elway's quarterback, and they were always just something I loved. I loved playing with my dad. I remember getting the GameCube versions of Madden, even on Wii, and like Madden would be a great series to finally have on Nintendo consoles again. So fingers crossed on that. Let's take a look at the quote here. This is from Andrew Wilson. It says, anytime a new console comes into the marketplace, that's of a benefit to us. It gives us the ability to access and acquire new players. Typically, we've had franchises perform very well on Nintendo platforms. Certainly, our expectation is that the like of FC and Madden and others might find real energy on the platform as they have done in the past. And so, again, fingers crossed that is a pretty good indicator that Madden will be making its way to the Switch. Following his comment about the franchise typically performing well on Nintendo's platforms, Wilson noted the recent success of My Sims Cozy Bundle, released on Switch last November, stating how it has performed well ahead of EA's expectations. The Sims and My Sims Cozy Bundle, which performed well ahead of our expectations, 50% of all players were new to EA, and that represents a great opportunity for us. Finishing up the article here, it says, so it seems EA, like companies such as Microsoft and seemingly Ubisoft, are already locked in for the Switch 2. And I mean, again, fantastic. Love them or hate them, they do have some good games. They've also got some pretty interesting business practices that I know not everybody loves. But from, just a few rumblings I'm seeing here and there, like, the Battlefield series, probably going to get a little bit of a revive. They've done like Star Wars Battlefront 2. That'd be fantastic to see come to the Switch. That is an incredible game, and it would be great to see that come to Switch, just because it's a great game, So, moving on here, the 10 best-selling games for Nintendo Switch as of the investors meeting yesterday, and we'll go through the numbers here. It's so crazy seeing some of these numbers. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, 67.35 million units. million, like insane. Love to see it. Like Mario Kart is an absolute force to be reckoned with, and cannot wait to see what the new one brings. Next up, Animal Crossing New Horizons. Like, I think if you have any doubt about Nintendo continuing on with the Animal Crossing series, you can let that go to the side. You can let that go to the side, because Animal Crossing they know. They know. I mean, look at that. I like I could guarantee you the the sales of Animal Crossing have far surpassed what they thought it was going to be. And I'm here for it, because it is a series that, like, as crazy as I have sounded so many different times recommending Animal Crossing to people when they're like, it sounds like you're describing going to work. How is this fun? Trust me. Although Tom Nook is a little rough around the edges, it's fun to collect those bells and pay them back. Next up, Super Smash Brothers Ultimate, 35.88 million. Joey Pitt says Animal Crossing is a franchise I should definitely check out. I'll get the next entry for sure. Yeah, Joey, it is these top 10 games. You know, you could kind of combine the Pokemon games if you wanted, but these top 10 games, in my opinion, are all must play Switch titles. Every single one of them. Zelda Breath of the Wild, or Ultimate, was 35.88 million. So good. I'm still playing Ultimate, guys. I'm this close to getting Mario into Elite. I have I don't know. Smash is one of those games for me that every time I play it, I get a little bit better. And that's what always brings me back to Smash, is just the spirit of competition, trying to beat your opponent. I was showing my girlfriend yesterday, like, this is what high-end Smash looks like. And she was like, yo, it's actually pretty amazing. Like, it was a Mario fighting a Roy, and just super fun to watch. So I cannot recommend Smash enough. Next up, Zelda Breath of the Wild at 32.62 million. Odyssey at 29.04 million. Super Mario Odyssey, fantastic game. Pokemon Sword and Shield at 26.6 million. Scarlet and Violet at 26.38 million. And here's the one that surprises me, is Zelda Tears of the Kingdom is at 21.55 million. Now, don't get me wrong, that's a great number. But I'm so curious on what happened. What happened to the almost 11 or a little over 11 million players that didn't take the plunge from Breath of the Wild to Tears of the Kingdom? Like, do you guys think it's possible that the non-vocal majority didn't love Breath of the Wild as much as the rest of us? Like, what keeps 11 million people that purchase Breath of the Wild from going back into Tears? So it seems so strange, especially when you look right above it, Pokemon Sword and Shield, 26.6 million, and then Scarlet and Violet, 26.38. Like, they're neck and neck. That community, almost the exact same amount of copies moved, you know? So next up, you have Super Mario Party, which there's a reason it got online added so late in the game, because 21 million players. And then New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe, 18.06 million. Wonder needs to be there. Okay, that's all I'll say. New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe is good. It's not Wonder. Wonder should be on this list. So if you haven't played Wonder yet, you really should. So recent titles released, we got Super Mario Party Jamboree at 6.17 million, Zelda Echoes of Wisdom at 3.91 million, Paper Mario Thousand Year Door at 2.06 million, Mario and Luigi Brothership at 1.84 million, and Luigi's Mansion 2 HD at 1.8 million. So Joey says, love Smash, my most played game of 2024. Please do not reboot and take my Banjo-Kazooie away from me in the next entry. Cryptic says, I know it's with salt that those, I know to take it with a grain of salt, the Smash leaks were insane. I know after reading it's a long shot, but if April ends up if April ends with a Smash logo, the launch year of Switch 2 is going to be goated. Yeah, that would be crazy. And the leaks, oh yeah, there's already so many Smash leaks. It's honestly wild. And again, it's just huge grain of salt. People love just putting these things out there, and then of course you've got content creators that are always going to just run with it and hype it up. But again, it can mess with our expectations and stuff like that. So just keep it in mind. Keep that grain of salt handy. Joey says, what leaks I want to see, not because I want to know all, just I want to make sure my two main characters I play with stay. So I think what they're saying is everybody's coming back, and then they're also talking about new characters. And I believe there's a Hungry Box video that you can look up where he talks about what these leaks are and where they came from and all that stuff. So Joey Pitts says Mario Wonder didn't sell that many. It's just not in the top 10. I know it has done well, but I don't know. I don't have the numbers right in front of me right now. And it's so good. It's so good to not be in the top 10. I can tell you that much. Cryptic says it must have been launch hype for Breath of the Wild. I think Tears of the Kingdom is a better game, but fell off fast after I beat it. Maybe it was hard to capture that magic again. And that's a very real possibility that people just kind of thought it was more of the same. And that's why they didn't pull the trigger on it. But I had such an incredible time with it. Joey asks, but Josh, do you think Banjo is returning? So my gut feeling is this: Smash Ultimate, Nintendo does whatever they need to keep the licensing for everything that's in that game. We get a deluxe version of it, and then they do fighter passes for a while. And those fighter passes include, and I also think they will probably include some of their, first party characters, Waluigi being one of them, but then you get into new fighter passes. Maybe Gino is finally thrown into the mix, some of these characters that people have been asking for quite some time. So I do think, and the biggest thing that I'm wanting is just give us Smash with rollback netcode. That's really all I'm wanting. I just want to see improved netcode, because it can be frustrating when you're having to play through lag. So frustrating. So, but anyway, those are your top 10 games. Now we're going to get into the main topic of the show, which is the Switch's price point. I was watching Sunbro's video from yesterday. He was talking about the price point, kind of digging into some of the different leaks and rumors around this price point. A lot of people pointing to a $450 price point with $499 being like a special edition bundle that could include Mario Kart 9. And so there's a lot of talk about that. Again, it's the $499 coming with a game coming in under what that game is probably going to be at retail. Like that could be the case. 500 is really high. 450 it just seems high when you're looking at the Series X, the PS5 digital. Like it seems a bit high. So we're going to get into it. Taking a look at the chat real quick. Cryptic says, come out with Smash Master Chief Collection and it will live on forever. Smash Ultimate needs to be preserved. Yes. Yeah. And yeah, get Chief in Smash, please. Marcus Phoenix, all the above. I see Crazy Crew is here. They're saying, I think the price might be 400. And that's where I feel like the sweet spot is, it just in my mind. But they're looking at all kinds of other data and stuff as well. It's not just a gut feeling, right? Joey Pitts says 400 is my goal. 450 is the highest budget. 500, I'd either have to wait or ask the bank for mortgage. Right, you're gonna add a second mortgage to your place. I get you. So that's just some of the rumors and stuff that are flying around out there. But we're going to take a look. Nintendo says, don't worry. Nintendo Life article here says, don't worry. Nintendo's thinking about affordability with Switch 2 pricing. There's no official price point yet. Okay. So looking at the article here, it says Nintendo has today shared a Japanese transcript of the recent Q&A investors meeting with company president Shitaro Furukawa. And as you might expect, a lot of talk gravitated to Switch 2. One question in particular broached the topic of product pricing, specifically whether Nintendo is taking inflation and exchange rates into account while it's deciding how to list the upcoming console. Obviously, Furukawa didn't immediately reveal the Switch 2's price point on the spot. That would have been quite the plot twist, but the Nintendo president did reassure the investors that the company is taking multiple factors into consideration, including exchange rate, inflation, and interestingly, the affordable prices that people expect from Nintendo products. What's more, he stated that there are currently no plans for a Switch 1 price drop, so don't expect to see big discounts anytime soon. You'll find Furukawa's full answer translated via Google below. Bear in mind that Nintendo's official translation may offer slightly different wording when it drops in the coming days. So here it is, done by Google, the translation. It says, in addition to the current inflation, we are aware that the exchange rate environment has changed significantly since the launch of Nintendo Switch in 2017. We also need to consider the affordable prices that consumers expect from Nintendo products. When considering the price of our products, we believe that it is necessary to consider these factors from multiple angles. At this time, we cannot disclose the specific price of the Nintendo Switch 2, but we are considering it while taking various points into consideration. At this time, there are no plans to change the price of Nintendo Switch hardware. And I think that's a good move on Switch right now. Give it a little bit of time since the holidays just passed and a lot of people ended up paying full price, right? Unless you were at Target and you got to take advantage of that deal. I think it's good to like let it rest, do the announcement of the Switch 2 and then maybe do a price drop, or wait to do a price drop holiday season. I'm not really sure, because you don't want to undercut Switch 2 at all. It's just such an interesting dilemma on how do you really tackle marketing all of it the best. And I do think we're going to see more marketing around the Switch family of, the Switch family consoles, right? The Switch family of consoles like Switch 2, Switch 1, OLED, all that kind of stuff. I think that's a very, very real possibility that some of the marketing material will include that. Now, if there's no price drop whatsoever, $400 to $450, like I feel like $450 is probably the most realistic. That's kind of where I'm going. And I do want to point out too on Sunbro. So Sunbro Nation, guys, if you love Nintendo content, make sure to go check out his channel. He also mentioned tariffs, and we're not going to get into anything political and whatnot, but I did want to fill you guys in from what I learned from that video is that Nintendo, as of right now, has Switches coming out of Vietnam instead of China. So tariffs won't really be a factor when it comes to the Switch 2 hardware, because it is coming out of Vietnam and not China. So taking a look here, Joey says 400 is my goal, 450 with the highest. Yeah, okay, we saw that one. Cryptic says it depends on the tech being used on Switch and what's powering the dock. We still do not know definitively what's being used. If it is 450, let us know why via direct and let us make a decision. Crazy Cruise says, well, I hope it doesn't cost 700 like the PS5 Pro. I just don't think that's possible. Cryptic says, I do not mind paying a premium for premium features. So again, I do agree. Joey says it is a Fisher Price toy after all, right? Yeah. Crazy Crew says max is $450. And then Cryptic says it's Nintendo's job to sell me on why it's worth it, why it's worth its price tag. No doubt there. Sunshine said, oh, that's good to know. That's been on the back of my mind in regards to the price. Yeah. So I don't, from what his video was saying yesterday, tariffs are probably not going to be a factor when it comes to the US market because the systems are coming out of Vietnam. That doesn't mean that tariffs could be imposed on Vietnam, and then that would be a different story, I suppose. But as of right now, Nintendo's kind of done what they need to do to make sure they can keep the price as low as possible. Taking a look here at just continuing with the price point, and this is an older article, right? This is from September of 2024, and it's a soapbox article that says Sony's insane PS5 Pro price highlights the delicate balance Nintendo must strike with Switch 2. And so, just kind of taking a look here. Recently, we asked you if $499 would be too much to pay for Switch 2. 20% of the responses said nope. Nearly 30% thought it would be too much. And the majority, rather sensibly, said that it would depend on how big of an upgrade Nintendo's next generation of hardware represented. And so it's like that $700 price tag is honestly crazy. Like, it's crazy to me that it's that high for a console. And so Nintendo's got to find that sweet spot with Switch 2. They really do need to find that sweet spot of the consumer not feeling like it's too much while they're still not selling their console at a loss. And so, I think I can only assume the reason we haven't heard the price point yet is because they, it's all about crunching them numbers. Taking a look at chat right now. Cryptic says Josh just needs Vroom in the Night Sky 2 to be sold. He would pay $600. Oh my goodness. Not Vroom in the Night Sky. Joey says price and pre-ordering all making me anxious. I will have a video out. The video I recorded today is all about GTA 6 and how I think Rockstar could potentially handle Switch 2. So make sure to watch that on YouTube, and I'll have it up today. I just have to edit it, but I think you guys will enjoy it. And again, let me know in the comments once you've watched it. But to get the pre-orders and stuff, Joey, I'll make a video about that and give you some ideas on how you can make sure to be first in line. So Crazy Crew says Nintendo needs a good VR headset. They have it. It's called Labo. I'm just playing, but I mean, again, that Labo, like, I think a lot of us probably forget about Labo, but like Nintendo got pretty weird this generation and sold us cardboard, which is just, it's crazy. It's crazy, but they did it. The last talking point here from Nintendo Life, it says, would $499 be too much for Switch 2? And so I'm going to just kind of, let's see. So I'm going to say, no, I'll pay whatever it takes. And we'll look at the results here. 46% it still depends on how big of an upgrade. And let's see, when did this article drop? This is an older article too, from August of 24. So looking at some of these comments, it says thinking about Nintendo, thinking about what Nintendo will probably do. 500 sounds too steep. Price of 350 to 400 should be the target range, at least for a base model with 500 gigs of storage. 500 for a deluxe 2 terabyte model sounds reasonable. And I'm taking a look. Okay, so Nintendo's tweeted something. I'm always just making sure it's not, not like a direct or something like that. Bransby says 500 will probably be fine, but without knowing anything official about the console, it's hard to say. If it has upgraded specs and full physical and digital backwards compatibility with the original Switch, I'll buy it. It would be cool to have some weird Nintendo gimmick too, but that's not my top priority. So, and I think a lot of us are kind of in that boat where it's like, what can we expect from this thing? That's going to kind of dictate price. What's the new gimmick? What's the mouse gimmick? How's this all going to work? And is it going to be worth the $499 price tag, or is it going to collect dust? I doubt it. Mario Kart's coming out, but you never know. So Crazy Crew asked, was Labo good? Labo is so good and bad. So not asked, but yeah, it was interesting. It was very, very interesting. Only Nintendo could sell us cardboard, and make us happy about it. Joey says, LOL, Nintendo just tweeting about the OG Cranky Kong. Yep, that's all that tweet was. That was it. So as far as like my hope with the price point, we've talked about it a little bit in some of the other shows. Like I would ultimately love to see a 350 and watch these things fly off the shelves. I have a feeling 450 is where we're probably going to land, but 399 honestly feels like the biggest sweet spot. Like that feels like where it should be. And if they need to do a price drop on the first Switch, just do that so that you can give people a reason to get into the newer version of the console, because they know that it's going to be if you're charging more because it's more powerful, like make that very clear to people. But I don't see anything wrong with dropping the price of the OG Switch and getting it into more hands, because that is the potential for more Switch 2 players down the road. Cryptic says we have never seen 1080p handheld run games at 60 FPS. Even handheld like Steam Deck or the premium ROG Ally or Rogue Ally, I think it is ROG Ally, have 1080 screens but only get like 45 FPS at a time or 30 FPS. Really curious about Switch. Maybe to hit 60 FPS 1080, it costs a little more, and maybe that is the case. Maybe that is the case. And we like the DLSS stuff, the patent about the controllers, like there's it seems like there's quite a bit going on under the hood of this next Switch. And so I think it's great that they've added the microphone, the USB on the top versus just the one in the bottom, so you could actually charge in hand or in tabletop mode. I think there's some really, really great changes coming our way. I do want to know the price, and I want to know more about Mario Kart. That's really, really what I'm after. So Joey Pitt says $500 for a Switch 2, Mario Kart 9 and Pro Controller would make me go for it. Yeah, if they did kind of a bundle, and that's like the bundles are, at least from my experience, kind of become a thing of the past. But like, remember Game Crazy? Probably don't, but they were in Hollywood Videos, and they were like, if you want to buy a new console, you got to buy 17 games, 3 used games, a controller. Like they would throw all this extra stuff at you that you're like, well, my bill just went from $500 to $1,000. I'm no thank you. So Joey says $500 for Switch 2, Mario Kart 9 Pro Controller would make me go for it. There you go. And Cryptic says, taking a look here, I'm also tend to go all out for launch. I intend to go all out for launch. Cheaper the better, because I have to get new SD cards, Pro Controller, etc. Yeah. Like, I hope your wallets are ready, you guys, for everything that Nintendo's going to be throwing at us, and with the potential of third-party games coming out via, looking at examples like Master Chief Collection, Forza, Horizon, all that stuff. Like, there could be a lot to play. There could be this is going to be a crazy year for Nintendo fans. So I hope you guys are ready. Well, that is going to do it for this episode of Nintendo News Daily. Thank you guys so much for being here live. Remember, 3:30 p.m. Eastern, 12:30 p.m. Pacific. If you want to be in the live show and have your comments put on screen, just make sure to come hang out live. So appreciate all of you guys so very much. And we're going to play the outro later, y'all.